Hello everyone, this is Anne from Odulcina Scrap. So yesterday night I did some insomnia and I worked on envelopes and I thought I could share today. So of course in the middle of the night I didn't turn on the camera. But I've been using Odulcina fabric. So you see these are the lighter version, just so you know. So with the stripes, the polka dot, the little flowers, and then so what I've been doing is I didn't plan on how it was going. I took a stripe, I took another one, and I resized, of course, just so it is proportional. I've used some fancy yarns that I stitched a couple of times, so it's holding by the sewing machine, but I could have glued it. And then at the back, I just used the fabric again. And I just glued the fabric with the hot glue. So there's no glue everywhere, so that's why it's a little bit loose. And I made sure I create some shrink because that's what I love. I don't love the flat, perfect things. And then at the end, I've used a quarter of a doily here that was a rectangle doily, and just to make sure we don't see the envelope through, I've put like just white fabric, cotton fabric. I think it's a leftover from curtains or bed sheets, so just so we don't see the envelope through the holes there. So I did kind of a patch of the white fabric, and then I glued the doily, and it was not coming till the end, so I used one of that gorgeous Crafty Me Shop applique here. This is rare that I use an applique to its whole. I tend to cut them, trim them, and use them in little parts to make the most out of them. But honestly, this one cannot be really cut, right? It's so full of beads, and it's, yeah, I wouldn't know how to cut it. So I kept it in my stash for a while, and then I figured out I could use it there. These are flowers that I did in a previous video. I'm gonna put the link in the description below on how I did those flowers. They are really easy to do, really easy. They are so cute. So if you want to know how to do flowers like that, just look in the description of the video, and the link to the tutorial will be there. I've used some seam binding and I doubled it, so that's why there's 4 there, because it was too tiny just with one. And I sat down the flowers on cheesecloth and some polka dot tulle, just to give it some dimensions and not having gaps like that. And that's it. Now I've used a big envelope and a glassine bag, so we have some noises. All right, the other one that I did was this one. And again, I've used an envelope, but instead of putting some fabric everywhere, I've used a big, this is a big Crafty Me Shop lace. This is that length. So I guess it's kind of an 10 inches wide lace, and I just love it. So it's doing the fancy back of the envelope, and at the top I've used it to do kind of the border there that we barely see at the front, but there's still some peek through. And then I've used a big cheesecloth doing like all a layer there. I added, this is another Crafty Me Shop lace that I've cut into 2. Let me show you what it looks like initially. Okay, so let me show you. This was the lace to cover the envelope that I've used. And this is the lace that I've used here. She has it in white, and she has it in off-white, beige. Actually, that white version I have there is a little, it's this it's the same idea. You can cut in the middle and use just half of it. So you double the size of it when you do it that way. So I did the same here. I trimmed just here, so I kept all of that for another project. So you could cut in the middle, but you can cut just like here, have a trim there, have a trim there, and you can use the middle in other projects. I love those CMS laces. CMS means Crafty Me Shop. That's her abbreviation. So when she says it's a CMS lace, that means it's her exclusivity, because she bought the whole inventory of a clothing manufacturer that closed in the 1980. So it is vintage, yeah. And we just don't find that kind of lace on the market. Well, I didn't find, and I've been looking for. So these are precious, these are unique, and these are my favorite. Just my favorite. All right, let's go back. Okay, before I continue, I get always lots of questions about that. So you can buy the Crafty Me Shop laces through a group on Facebook. She lists some items on Fridays and on Saturdays. You comment which items you want and in which quantity, and then she does the invoices on the Sunday, and she ships during the week unless you didn't pay. She also opened an Etsy shop for those who don't have Facebook and don't want Facebook. So, but the priority is the Facebook group. So the laces, and when there's a short inventory, it goes to Facebook first, and then whatever is left over will go to the Etsy shop. I'll put the link of all of that in the description below. So look at that. So this is one of my newest fabric, and it's the Roses Paradise pattern. Let me show you. This is what it looks in a bigger scale. So I've used like a trim and I glued it, creating some folds. And then I've added one of the ladies from my fabric too. So this is the Victorian ladies, and you have more than that, but I've used one of those like that. And as you can see, there's a lot of white around, so you can glue and stitch and use it in sewing projects. But sometimes, and this was my case here, I needed to trim it really, really short because that portion of the cover was not that big, right? And I've used the cheesecloth at the back, and I added some embroidery. And that is my whole goal with those fabric, is to be able to add some embroideries. So you don't need to cover and mimic the whole thing exactly like the design, but she had a flower bouquet in her hands, and this is exactly, well, sorry, there's some shadow. Let me try to make it look better. The lighting is hard, but as you can see, let me show you just beside. This was the initial design, and I just added some French knots. I tried a rose there with silk, 4mm silk ribbon, and some French knots with the embroidery yarns, and that's it. I could have added some flowers there. I could have had more. Like, that's the beauty of those fabric, is that you can just do a little to a lot of embroidery on it, but you still have the design at the back to help. So here you go. All right, let's go back to the envelope. So I've used as well little charms, a rustic safety pin, and the rustic safety pin I've used that cotton frizz. You have some in my bundles of sari silk. I include some. I have those in this color and in bright pink, baby pink, like that. So depending on the bundle, you can grab some there if you are looking for that product. I'm saying because there's always someone that contacts me about that. So what I've done is I started by going in and going out pretty much right away. Then at the end, I did the same, going back and coming up. And then I can trim the cotton here. Let me do that. It could have been bigger too. I can trim that, and I just need to glue the fabric wherever I want it, instead of having a hard time to go through the paper and layers with the safety pin. I just find this way it helps a lot. And you can add some laces, charms. So in this case, I just added some charms, but I could add lace, fancy yarns, a little bow, a little knot around it. So really, this is what I've been doing. And inside, I've been using some of the numbers between the designs on some fabric. There's some numbers. And this fabric, you only have it in my Odulcina's favorite box, because it's not my design. The polka dot here is my design. And yeah, that's it. So inside that, I wanted to put something, and I came up with some booklets with the Shabby Chic Love kit. So I just wanted to show you, when you have, like in the Shabby Chic Love kit, you have some Polaroid types photos, and you can use them as is, but you can always just trim the frame and have just a square. You can round the corners. And in this example, what I've done is I just trimmed the sides. So I've removed the two sides here of the Polaroid frame, and I just kept those two edges, and I've been using them to create kind of a booklet. And this way I have some space here to either glue or use the staples in this case without being too much on the design. So I can put like a lace or something, and I'm not really hiding my design because I have some paper there. And here I didn't do anything yet, but I can use this to glue some laces, write down something. So for now, the only thing that I've been doing is I've been creating my booklet, the papers, and then at the end I just took that frizz cotton and I've used it to staple through it, so it's kind of hiding, you see, the staples. You could just do like with the sewing machine, a line like that. And now in my next video, I'm gonna decorate and create more of those. So my next video is to create booklets out of our scraps and decorating them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.